If you've got a heart, Dr. Bob is a part of you. Maybe not.
Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Ryan O'Neill.
Maybe we need to work on the intro.
Yeah, I think maybe you could probably be sued for that, for misleading our audience.
You know, I just realized, yeah, that's the Gumby theme, isn't it?
Is that right?
Yes. Well, Dr. Bob, moving on.
Quickly.
The primary Tuesday, the Democrats' primary for Reed's opponents in the air.
Yeah. Well, I think it's only up in the air in terms of the two leading
Oh, that's true.
candidates.
But from what I understand, from our count, there's something like around 3,000 absentees that were sent out.
Yeah. Well, I would guess, in terms of absentees returned, you're probably, if there's 3,000 sent out, you're probably talking about 2,200 coming back, something like that. I mean, I'm sure what happens, I think these election boards have kind of an automatic list of people who get absentee ballots. And so nursing homes and things of that sort, and some of those aren't coming back. So it's hard to tell you, but in any case, the 26-vote lead that Mr. Della Piella has, that's kind of up in the air right now. At this point, you could say it could go either way. The question really is where who's getting those absentee ballots, and some candidates will work very hard to see that absentee ballots get out to people whom they think will support them. Now, I don't know if Matrano did that or Della Pia did that. It's just hard to tell.
One thing that also happened in the Tuesday primary was the big victory down in Queens for Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Cynthia Nixon picked up right on that right away.
Oh, did she?
This shows that there's a pathway for Cynthia Nixon for victory in Albany in the governor's mansion. Your thoughts on that analysis?
Well, first, I think Governor Cuomo is in trouble. I don't think there's any question about that. All the signs point that direction. Whether Cynthia Nixon is going to be the beneficiary of that or not is a much more questionable issue. I think the thing in, what was it, Queens, you say?
Yes.
This is an example of a congressman or representative who has gotten so wrapped up inside the Beltway, and you see this in Albany as well, that he basically just removed himself from his constituents. And we saw the same thing happen with Eric Cantor on the Republican side here just a few years ago, running in Virginia, where he thought he was in line. Well, I guess he was in line to become Speaker of the House, and he just got knocked off by I think it was a former minister. No, maybe it was a college professor, economics professor, evangelical type, and kind of wasn't paying attention to what he's doing. This guy Crowley, on the other hand, went to the point where he was supposed to have a debate with Miss Cortez. Was a debater. He sent a substitute. Here, fill in for me. Oh, come on, that's insulting. That in itself, I think, showed his disdain for his constituents. But Cortez campaigned hard. She's a personable person. She's articulate. But the turnout was abysmal. I think the vote was something like 16,000 to 12,000 in a district of, 776,000 voters. Well, not voters, citizens. There's no reason that Crowley couldn't have won if he'd have put some effort into the campaign. So I'm not certain this shows that there's a huge avalanche of unhappy voters ready for revolution. But it does put a gung-ho socialist left-wing candidate up from that district, and I assume it's probably heavily Democrat. I don't know, but the chances of Cortez winning are probably pretty high. But the more of those people the Democrats pick up, I think the more it pushes the party farther to the left. So that Wednesday night I had the opportunity, and I frankly I don't think I've ever listened to one of Trump's entire speeches. But
you caught the rally
in Fargo. I mean, it was hilarious. First of all,
he keeps interrupting Tucker Carlson. Have you noticed that? He does these things during Tucker Carlson's show.
Well, it ran over into the Hannity show as well.
Right.
But the point is, I don't know how you would write a speech for Trump. I mean, the guy just shoots off this way and shoots off that way, and he made it plain that he was pleased to see Crowley lose because he wants to see Nancy Pelosi remain as a leader of the Democrat Party in the House. He says we've got to have Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters there as leaders of the Democrats. And, of course, the crowd went nuts, that remark. Although there's some truth what he says, I guess, from a Republican point of view, that's for sure. So, in any case, it was wild. I mean, the guy's wild.
He gives. It's a different type of presentation, I think, than Washington leaders have given in a long time, or maybe ever.
Well, he says things right off the top of his head, and some of them clearly are, to put it mildly, hyperbolic. I mean, they're exaggerated, etc. But it's all in good fun, and he was feeling his oats, that's for sure.
Can I bring up the time that I saw Trump up in Depew near Buffalo at a restaurant there when he was considering a run for governor?
I suppose
I've talked about this, and that was years ago on the show. The Republican committee men up near the bar were all ignoring Trump and talking to each other, and there was that mumble through Trump's whole speech, which was a great speech. And all these Republican county guys were just at the bar drinking, flirting, and so on and so forth. And all I could think was, why are you missing this opportunity? Do you think that the noise was so loud that Trump could have, it got back to Trump and he said, hey, I'm just going to run for president if that's the way these guys are?
No. I think part of that applies, that's for sure. But no, Trump's idea was, and again, I was involved in this from the very beginning, Trump's position was that he would run for governor if all the county chairs kicked in behind him. And, of course, Astorino wanted to run, and Ed Cox was
favoring Astorino.
Absolutely.
But I was kind of surprised at the way Trump was treated by a lot of those Republicans who were more interested in the bar.
I've handled these kinds of events before. I handled, I don't know, at least 10 Constitution Day presentations in Rochester, where we had major speakers and things of that sort. And basically, I was the floor manager, and you had to shut the bar off.
Yeah.
If you didn't shut the bar off, I mean,
forget it.
Some of these guys, and they just continue to talk. And of course, the bartender, he was sitting there wanting to sell more. I said, "Hey, buddy, that's it.
Yeah,
shut
enough
it down."
of that.
I
was kind of wondering if that sort of thing blew it.
You have to have somebody do that. If you don't, then that's the natural flow of these kinds of meetings.
Dr. Bob, can we talk about Justice Anthony Kennedy?
Surely.
Okay. A lot of Democrats, a lot of people on the left have voiced serious concerns about what's going to happen with abortion here in terms of the newest judge. I want to get your thoughts on that, and I want to get your thoughts on what would you think of names that are being tossed around like Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Mike Lee, or Judge Andrew Napolitano?
Yeah, well, I don't think any of those have much of a chance. I would say this. First of all, the Democrats obviously are very concerned about this. But their concern and I think the listening audience ought to be aware of this, their concern is not about who replaces Kennedy. Their concern is, and I think, I can see where they're concerned, is Ginsburg. That Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is not healthy at all, and how long she lasts, I don't know. But the point is, Kennedy, fairly conservative to start with, so you replace him with somebody somewhat more conservative. You're not going to get a major change. But Ginsburg, of course, is one of the gung-ho liberals on the court, and if she steps down one way or another, that vacancy is going to be, Trump is going to fill that vacancy. And now you're talking about a Supreme Court that's not 5-4, but is 6-3 on most issues. And that will have a tremendous impact on American policy and American law. Now, as for the abortion issue...
Yeah, realistically, do you think that's ever going to go away?
No. Abortion has been pretty well established now, and I think Justice Sandra Day O'Connor's opinion in the Planned Parenthood of Southeast Pennsylvania case pretty much spells it out, and that is that abortion is for a long time now, 73 till now, so what's that, 45 years or more. You can't just change constitutional law. You can, it's happened, there's no question, but to change that kind of law simply because you got a different makeup on the bench, I think is going to give some of the justices some qualms. Okay. On the other hand, when it's 6-3, now you're beginning to get, some threats. I do think, though, there'll be a lot of nibbling around that right in terms of when a fetus is actually a human being under the 14th Amendment, things like that. So you'll get some of that for sure. Yeah.
Now, those who are skeptical of politics on the conservative side of things say that the Republicans have always been all talk on the abortion issue. They don't really mean it. A lot of these Trump supporters, and I'm thinking of the evangelicals here, feel that he promised. This is one of his campaign platform ideas. Does what's going to happen here affect his ability to get another 4 years in?
Well, I think if he does it right, and I think he will, it will clearly show that he can deliver. And I think right now his chances for another 4 years are pretty good. Now, it is true that the court's opinion on the unions and the ability of the unions to force government unions now to force members to pay dues and is going to activate, obviously, a lot of the unions. On the other hand, most of those unions are activated against him to start with, so I'm not certain how much of an impact that's going to have. But, and frankly, given the unemployment rate and things of that sort, and people getting jobs and decent jobs, the unions may not have quite as much influence as they would have in less prosperous times. So you do get some of these decisions from a conservative court that do tend to activate opposition. And abortion would be one, and of course that is going to be one of the threats that the Democrats are going to hold out all over the place, that Trump is going to appoint another anti-abortion justice, which he will, I think. The question is, once they get on the bench, are they going to suddenly switch the law in that area, or are they going to just kind of nibble away at it? And I think the nibble approach is the direction we'll be going.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Dr. Bob.
My internet provider is not customer friendly, and the service isn't good for the money I spend.
I hear you. That's why I switched to Empire Access. Well, that and Empire has faster fiber optic internet service, and I actually saved money.
Well, I guess I should consider switching to Empire Access.
Make the switch to award-winning Empire Access today and save. Bundle internet with TV for just $65 a month. Get more info at empireaccess.com. empireaccess.com.
Checking in with the meteorologist, Rob Carroll. And hey, heat advisory, whole state, huh?
Whole state except eastern Long Island, Brian. It is going to be a warm weekend across the Empire State, a warm weekend across much of the central and eastern part of the country, actually. This heat's been building up over the central part of the country. Some of the areas from Chicago down along the Mississippi River could have heat indices of about 115 later today and tomorrow. We won't feel quite that warm, but we're certainly going to be up there. I think Sunday is when it peaks across the region, and it still looks like we're warm right through about the 4th of July. So we're going to be talking about this for several days. A lot of sunshine for today. Look for temperatures across the southern tier to be 85 to 90 this afternoon. Sunrise this morning was 5:37. It'll set at 8:51 this evening. We're clear, we're warm overnight, 65 to 70. We've got heat advisories in effect for the area tomorrow, and they'll be in effect again Sunday. Lots of sunshine tomorrow, 95. It'll feel like it's up around 100 tomorrow afternoon when you factor in the humidity. Tomorrow night, clear, warm, 70 to 75. Sunny, hot, humid for Sunday. Limit your outdoor activities that are strenuous. High Sunday, 95 to 100, Brian. And we're probably 90, 93 during the day on Monday.
Thank you so much, Rob. We're back. Hi, Bob.
Oh, okay, sure.
You remember that voice from the Newhart show?
No, I don't.
One of Newhart's neighbors. It actually turned into a college drinking game.
Yeah, maybe.
Hi, Bob.
I can see how you spent your undergraduate days, yes.
Well, anyways, back to unions and Trump. The nice members around here that I know, the teachers that I know, have a strong, intense dislike or suspicion of Betsy DeVos and Trump both. And I think, just a guess here, but I think it's because they think that Trump and DeVos won't be friendly to unions. Does that Supreme Court ruling from the other day prove them right, the teachers right?
Well, I don't think, in that sense, I don't think, I don't know. I assume the government came in on the side of Janus, the guy who was challenging AFSCME. I'm not certain if they were amicus curiae or not. I think they probably were. But this case has been going on for a while. No, I can see why the teachers' unions are unhappy with DeVos, because she's clearly pushing charter schools and the idea of private schools and homeschoolers as well to a great extent. And I mean, I support her on that. I think our key concern here is educating students. And unfortunately, largely in the urban areas, the public schools have they're just not doing the job.
Dr. Bob.
Yes.
Cynthia, and this brings us to another point. Cynthia Nixon is big on New York State school union. She's big on NYSUT, and she is not pro-charter school, Cynthia Nixon. Governor Andrew Cuomo came out in favor of charter schools a long time ago, and NYSUT was very suspicious of him for a long time. Does this help Cynthia Nixon get elected in November?
Well, I think it helps her with certain areas of the electorate, that's for sure, and especially the areas around, places like New York City and maybe some of the other urban areas. Because again, not to put the full blame on the unions by any means, the teachers in those urban areas, I mean, that is a very, very tough job. And so having some union protection, I think, is, I can understand that, but how far that is allowed to go, again, I think that's where you got to draw the line. Plus, I think you should give people a choice. If they don't want to send their kid to public school, then they should have a private alternative.
What was your favorite grade, Dr. Bob?
Huh?
What was your favorite grade?
A. I liked A's. Lots of A's.
No. I mean, what grade? Like 8th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade?
Oh, you mean high school versus?
Yeah.
Oh, high school was a total joy trip. It was great. I had,
all 4 years.
All 4, brother. It was the idea to have to take home homework or anything. It was.
Yeah, I found it challenging after nursery school, actually, Doc.
Yeah, well.
It wasn't the same after that.
You're right. Some of the grades, but generally speaking, I had very good teachers, and that's made me the really clever intellectual I am today. Yes.
With that, we do have to go. I want to thank you.
Maybe
for
it
your
is time to go.
today.
Yeah, maybe it's time to draw this to a close. Yes. All right.